everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Ed Rosenberg again, and today I have what I believe is going to be the most watched interview I have done out of the over 100 I've done. And the reason why I'm saying that is I am talking to Ashlin now, and Ashlin has come up with a concept of giving sellers, particularly Amazon sellers, but I saw the paperwork and it's all online sellers, some kind of an insurance in case the account gets suspended.
Right.
Now it's a great idea, and I know many people had the idea, and I heard a line recently, somebody said, in America, innovation is rewarded, but execution is worshipped. And, a lot of people had the idea, but the fact is you did it. So congratulations, and I'm looking forward to working with you. So first of all, Ashlin, tell me a little bit about yourself and exactly how this works.
Yeah, so I've been in the financial industry for about 20 years. I got into insurance about 5 years ago and was a captive agent, and decided I was tired of making my boss a millionaire. And if I was going to work my butt off, I'm going to do it for myself. So I decided to go out on my own. I've gotten into your guys' crazy Amazon world for about the last year, and been working with clients on general liability and product liability that Amazon requires you guys to have, but obviously they don't police it. But I've been working with your community on getting those products insured so you guys are safe there. And about the last 9 months or so, clients have just been complaining about how volatile Amazon is and how they shoot first and ask questions later. And a lot of my clients said that they've quit their day jobs and this is what they do full time. And they wake up in the morning, and instead of rolling over and kissing their wife good morning, they hop on their phone to make sure they're not suspended.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of commercial clients, and I said, we've got we have insurance for, the Jimmy Johns of the world, that if something happened to their business, we'd pay their income. How come we can't have a policy for you guys where in the morning you wake up and you say, if I did everything right and I'm a smart person and I make good decisions and Amazon still decides to suspend me, well, Ashlin's got my back. We've got a policy for that. So I've been working with one of the best insurance companies in the world to get this policy going. It will be written on Lloyd's of London paper. So it's not little old Ashlin Hadden in Indiana. It's Lloyd's of London. So this policy is going to be designed for the seller who's honest. This isn't a policy where you can go out and make bad decisions and buy bad products and hope that I'm going to be there for you. This is for the honest seller doing the right things, following Amazon's rules, not buying prohibited products. But if you happen to slip up and make a mistake and Amazon suspends you, we're going to be there for you. So that's what this policy is designed to do, is help give that peace of mind that if you're suspended, we're going to help pay some income back to you so you can continue to pay your bills. And we're going to help get you lined up with an amazing account specialist like you to help get your account back up and running as quickly as possible so you minimize that time that you are not paying your bills.
Right. Okay. So now the idea is genius. And
well, thank you.
No, the idea is genius, and there's a massive need to this. The question on the implementation, because, of course, not me and not you, nobody wants to defend sellers that are selling prohibited goods or counterfeit. That the conversation doesn't even start. We're dealing with people who are in business for 5-10 years, doing millions, sometimes a month. And then Amazon just out of nowhere sends you some cryptic message, and you're suspended. So the first thing is, I mean, you're doing a great service. You connect, just for that, you connect the seller to someone who knows what they're doing that's available. You have a pool of experts dealing with suspensions, and you'll be able to track their success. And so that alone is great. But my question is, and I got a lot of questions, but my question is dividing the line about what's considered that you did something wrong and you're a bad seller and not. So let's say, for example, I know you're familiar because I saw in the FAQs, there's something called a rights owner suspension.
Right.
Now, a rights owner suspension means that the company, normally the brand owner or someone acting on behalf of the brand owner, says that that seller is violating their rights, and they really don't care about that seller violating their rights. Underneath it, they just want them not to sell on Amazon. So they send you an infringement complaint. And, Amazon doesn't vet that too much. So Amazon basically says that, okay, so there was an infringement charge. You two lock yourselves in a room, fight it out. And in the meantime, you're suspended.
Right.
Now, is that considered something that you would cover? Or
Right.
And don't forget, also, and many times you need an attorney involved over there if you can't work it out, because you have to know how to deal and pressure the rights owner, and sometimes an attorney can do that better than someone like me, or better than the seller. So is that considered legitimate? I'll tell you another case. How about somebody sells something, and when he sends it into FBA, he mislabeled 2 items. So Amazon says he's sending the wrong item. Or someone could be selling fine jewelry and 2 sellers can say counterfeit. So will you say, well, why are you selling counterfeit? You're going to be the judge. Who's going to decide if it's a legitimate suspension or if it's not a legitimate suspension?
Right. So good question. And you're not going to like my answer because it's insurance. So each individual case that's going to get suspended is going to be looked at individually. So just like you have a car accident, you've got a claims adjuster that comes out and says, okay, Ed, it was your fault, or Ashlin, it was your fault. You should have done this. You should have done that. So it's going to be looked at individually. But how the policies are written in insurance are it's covered unless it's excluded. So unless we specifically tell you this is not excluded, then there's going to be coverage. Now, on your FAQs, it lists out what is not going to be covered. And there's 3 items really listed here. If you are intentionally infringing, invading, anything with the participation agreement with, in this case, Amazon, your claim is not covered. If it's fraud, fabricated, false information, it's not covered. Or if you if you violate any of the prohibited items from Amazon, it's excluded. So let's say you've got a pair of Nike shoes. You send that in, a client purchaser says, well, these aren't really Nike. And Amazon says, ho, 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 you're suspended. Prove to me these are Nike shoes. You send in the receipts. Amazon says, well, that came from TJ Maxx. That doesn't count.
Right.
That counts for us.
Mm-hmm.
You have the correct receipts. You have to show that this is not a knockoff. That type of stuff is covered as long as it meets the franchise deductible. So each individual case is going to be looked at individually, and as long as you don't violate the excluded items, there's going to be coverage for it.
Right. Okay, that's a great answer.
The crap answer, because it's, yes, some of it could be covered, some of it can't be covered, but it's going to be looked at on an individual basis and determine if you've done what is necessary to file a complete claim.
Right. Okay, so that makes sense. And now I know by a car accident, an adjuster who's like an expert at figuring out. So you're gonna have you must have a team. I think you told me you have a team of ex-Amazonians, a panel that's going to evaluate each situation, because that I know every situation is different. So it's not bulletproof, it seems like, but it's a certain protection which you have.
And just like auto insurance isn't bulletproof, homeowners insurance isn't bulletproof. This isn't going to be bulletproof. And are some going to get passed that we should not have paid and we really did pay? Probably. But again, this is Lloyd's of London. They are the best in the business, and they're not going to just pay claims frivolously. They know what they're doing. I'm confident that they're going to weed out the bad apples that are trying to do this just to make the extra cash.
Yeah. I don't think I literally don't think one person will ever just say, "Hey, let me get my account suspended and collect insurance."
Right?
There's so much
That's
value.
called insurance fraud, Ed.
No. I mean, there's so much value in an Amazon account
Right.
because no one's going to do that.
Right.
Now, okay, so that was good. Now, another question I wanted to ask: related accounts. So now, Amazon does not allow you to have two accounts that are related. And this is like a very vague area, like what's considered. Now, of course, I myself can't have two accounts, but what's considered, how about my wife and I? Like the overlap is not so clear. So if Amazon suspends me for related accounts, obviously I'm going to say they don't even tell you which two accounts are related. So will something like that be covered?
So if it's a direct violation of Amazon's rules that you're not allowed to have two accounts, then it would be excluded. But if you can prove to Amazon that they're not related accounts, then we would cover the policy. But you're going to have a policy for your account, and your wife would have to have a policy for her account. So it would be two separate suspension policies. But again, if Amazon says it's excluded, then we're going to exclude it too.
Right, but let's say, forget about my wife for a second. Let's say I get let's say I get related account. I have one account. Okay, no one has
Okay.
another account. And I get an email that I'm suspended for related accounts. So I know for sure that's not true. But a lot of times it's very hard to prove to Amazon beyond a shadow of a doubt because they don't tell you whose account they think you're connected to. So it could be I had a neighbor that got suspended and he used my address. It could be, it could be something like that. So
my answer is maybe.
Uh-huh. Okay. Right.
Again, it's going to be underwritten individually, and if you're not violating any of Amazon's rules, then it's going to be covered because it's not excluded.
Okay. How about this situation, which happens a lot? Like when people send merchant fulfilled, which is not FBA. So let's say one day for whatever reason they were not able to ship out, or a bunch of items they thought they had, there was a flood. So would something like that be covered?
Is there rules in your seller agreement that says it has to be done within a certain amount of time?
Yeah, but that's what that's what insurance is, I guess. No, in other words, it wasn't on purpose that I shipped it late. No one will do it on purpose. But let's say, for instance, I walk in to my warehouse Monday morning, and which has happened to people, and there's a leak. I have 180 orders, so it's not on purpose. But Amazon doesn't care; they're going to suspend me. So will something like that be covered, or do you know? Or
That one I'll have to get back to you on.
right.
That's one that's not been brought up yet.
Okay, no, that's fair. But how about a very popular insurance, a very popular suspension is inauthentic. Now,
Yes.
inauthentic basically means that something happened that the customer thought that it may be counterfeit. So Amazon says you're suspended. Prove to us that it's not counterfeit. Now,
Right.
sometimes, and it's really a two-part question. Sometimes, even though it's not counterfeit, normally it's not counterfeit. I mean, if you're in business for 5 years,
Right.
you have employees. I mean, you can go to jail. No, 99% of the time it's not. But to prove to them that it's not is a little bit different. I mean, I could have gotten it as a gift, or
Right.
or I could have. And that's A. And B, sometimes Amazon, after they get you for inauthentic, while they're poking around your account, they say, oh, by the way, you also have expired items. So how will that work? I mean, will I be covered? Because you could say, well, who asked you to sell counterfeit? And I could say, but I got it as a gift. So will I be able to say, look, Ashlin, I got it as a gift, and you'll cover me?
Right. So that one is one of the big reasons we started this, because a lot of my sellers said that there's certain receipts that Amazon doesn't even take.
Yeah.
So if I bought some books at Books A Million and I'm selling them as new, but they're really not new because Books A Million isn't the actual wholesaler, that's what started this. So if you've got a receipt to prove that it's a gift, I'm sorry, that it was authentic, then we're going to cover it. As far as a gift, I'm assuming the underwriter or the claims adjuster will have you get either a letter or something that proves that that was a gift and that it wasn't taken off the back of somebody's car. So again, each individual thing is going to be underwritten and looked at individually, and they want to pay these claims. They want to help you guys out. So as long as you're doing things legitimately and you're trying to do things right, they're going to be there to help get you back unsuspended and pay the income that you deserve. So I'm not going to say that yes, it's going to be every single time, but there's going to be people there to help get you what you need to get you back rolling.
Okay, so that's great. Now, this is probably my biggest question. So, in this industry, it's not uncommon for someone to gross $300,000 a month and make no money. because I mean, I've done that because the margins are small. So if you're making, sometimes you lose and you just have to unload. So by the time you're done, a lot of people don't even know how much they're making, and even if you do, by the time you're done, with all the fees and the employees and liability insurance and rent, so there's nothing left. Do you pay back gross or net?
So we are going to pay back actual loss sustained, which will be your net. So you are going to have to prove a 12-month rolling income. So if that's with your W-2s, if that's with your Seller Central account, what you're actually getting paid, we will go back 12 months because we want to take in a fact that you had a really great Christmas and probably a really crappy February, March. So we're going to take that 12-month cycle and look at that. So it's going to be on your net. So we're not going to overpay you. Insurance is there to make you whole, not make you better. So we're going to pay you what you are actually losing on a daily basis.
Oh, so in other words, okay, I mean, yeah, which makes sense, but
right.
But in reality, because like I've dealt with sellers who've gotten suspended, and let's say it takes them, one particular seller took him 2 months to get back, and he told me he lost, and he did nothing wrong, and he told me he lost $1 million. So he would not be covered for that $1 million because.
Did he lose $1 million or did he lose $1 million in sales?
Well, $1 million he lost. Well, first of all, if you're dealing with health and beauty products, which a lot of sellers are, the way he calculated the $1 million was, he was expecting to keep selling it, so the inventory lost value and he couldn't sell it. Secondly, he had, 15 employees who he had to pay. When everything stopped.
So if you're doing $1,000 in sales, but your net profit on that $1,000 is only $500, we're only going to pay you the $500. We're not going to pay you the $1,000 because that's paying you more than what you've actually earned.
Right. So let's say a big company that has 500 employees. So you're going to take the CEO's salary, who's let's say making $2,000 a week, and just going to pay him the $2,000 a week. You're not going to cover the entire business. Is that correct?
Correct. We're not covering the entire business. We are covering the loss of income.
So this is primarily for small to mid-level sellers, I would say, because a huge company with 100 employees can lose millions of dollars on an Amazon.
Okay, so I guess we're on the wrong thing. So these huge companies with $1 million, when you get their when you get their 1040 easy at the end of the year, that's going to be their net profit. Mm-hmm. We are covering that number. So if that number is $1 million and they take and they pay their employees, they pay their stock and they pay this and they pay that, we're still covering that $1 million. Mm-hmm. So maybe I misunderstood you. We are paying off of your 1040 or your net income.
Whatever, if the business buys the insurance, and the business. So you can gross $50 million a year, and the business makes $500,000 after everything's done. You're covering the $500,000 to business.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so
there's a max of $1 million.
Right, maximum you pay off is $1 million, but you're just covering the profit where the net which you would have made, but the overall loss. In other words, if I have a building, right, an apartment building that's worth $10 million, right, and a fire burns it to the ground. So on that building, I would make, let's say, $300,000 a year. Insurance doesn't cover me for the $300,000. Insurance covers me for the $10 million. So that's not what this is. Doesn't cover the whole business.
Correct. This is not what this is.
That's fine. Okay, so
Yep,
at least now I understand the prices. No, now I understand the. So now, would you be interested in doing like if a big company would contact you, custom quotes for the whole business, or?
Yeah. So this is just our first round.
Right.
We again Q2, Q3 are trying to add more types of levers to this, so you can buy more what we call in the industry endorsements. This first round is for 90 days of coverage. So we're hoping to be able to take that 90 days and expand the 90 days. First round's a max of $1 million. We're hoping to expand to 5 and 10 million. So as this thing evolves, as this thing grows, we're going to be able to add additional endorsements to kind of pull in some of those other coverages. But for now, majority of sellers are back suspended within the first 30 to 60 days. So 90 days seems to be a fairly decent number from what we learned, in a max of $1 million in 90 days. So that's going to cover the majority of the sellers. Now I know there's some big sellers doing, $1 million a month. To me, $1 million's better than nothing, but we will be able to continue to grow this where we're going to have a 5 million mark and a 10 million mark for those really big, huge mega sellers.
Right. But just getting back.
But yes, it is coming.
No. But the way it is currently. So let's say a business is making $1 million a year, which is a lot by the time you're done. So the business is showing $1 million a year. So you're going to take that $1 million and divide it by 4. Right, because 90 is a quarter, is basically a quarter of a year, and you're going to pay $250,000. You're not going to pay the $1 million. So the only way you're going to pay out the $1 million is if the company is making $4 million a year.
Correct.
Right. So a company so very few companies actually make. I mean, a company that makes $4 million a year is huge. Profit net showing that is making. So okay, so just on the same page, you take.
But if there's somebody out there that is a big time seller and they want a custom package with something else, absolutely get a hold of us. We'll work with Lloyd's in creating, one-off type of situations if you feel like the coverage isn't there. We absolutely have that opportunity to build something for a mega seller. Right,
because I understand what I'm saying, because I mean it's nice to be covered on the income, so like a lot of business owners, they'll take out, a salary of $2,000, they'll figure out basically how much the business is making per year, and then they'll take that out per week. Right. So you're going to cover that salary for 90 days, but in essence, the entire business is still getting wrecked by this suspension. I'm just pointing that out. I mean, it's consistent with the premiums you're charging, but the way it is now in round 1, that's how it is, right?
I don't think we're still on the same page. When the business has their 1040 at the end of the year and they netted $500,000, we are paying off of that $500,000. It doesn't matter what CEO is taking as their draw. We are paying off of their net profit.
Well, no, we are on the same page.
Okay, good.
No, I'm exactly on the same page, but because most companies, it'll net out at the end based, the salary will compensate. So if the company is making $1 million and the guy wants and the CEO wants the money, he'll give himself $1 million. He'll pay out the $1 million over the year, and then the company at the end will net out, which is essentially the same. If the CEO takes out 0 and the company makes $1 million, or if the company takes makes $1 million and the CEO takes out $1 million, that's essentially the same. So you're taking.
Okay, so we're on the same page then.
Yeah, we're on exactly the same page. So the company's making $1 million. You're taking that number, and you're saying over 90 days the company would have made, divided by 4, 250,000, and you're going to say here's the 250,000, which is great, but it's still, as it is. The actual, okay, so we're exactly on the same page, and it's still great. Now,
you beat that enough.
No, that's great. Now the premiums are actually very cheap, and that makes sense now that I understand. What are you charging for the $1 million coverage?
So $1 million after all of the fun stuff, giving the fact that we believe you guys are about a 3-star rating. $1 million policy, $1 million in gross sales is about $2,900 a year. So check out the 2 examples that I sent. Right. So you're looking at about $2,900 for $1 million seller and about $1,400 for a $500,000 seller. So it's really cheap.
It's very cheap, right? And I think it's worth it just for the fact, even if you don't pay a penny, just for the fact that you're helping them get reinstated. Which is, I think, a big part. You're going to get a hold of someone like me or someone who knows how to do this, and someone who's available, and they're going to answer your phone calls, and they're going to want to make you happy, and you're going to.
That's
right. So they're gonna. So no, I definitely see it a value, and I had just so many questions, and I appreciate you answering me. Now, another question, which was really my first question: how does it work? Okay, so I get that email, I'm suspended.
Yes.
Now what do I do?
So to kind of walk you through, you get that first email and you're suspended. There's going to be a 1-800 number that you're going to call and report the claim. You have to report the claim within the first 24 hours of you getting suspended. So we know that we can start working on this ASAP. Okay.
So why is that? Like, what happens if it's 36 hours? Because let's say
we're not going to pay the claim.
Really?
That's part of the contract. You've got to let us know within 24 hours or your claim will be denied.
Even if it's a holiday weekend, if it's Christmas?
Once you receive the notice, you have to let us know within 24 hours.
Wow, okay.
So if it's Christmas Day and you don't check your computer and see that you got suspended, you check the computer the next day and see that you get suspended, you have to let us know within 24 hours.
Okay. Oh, 24 hours from when I know, or 24 hours from when it happens?
24 hours from the notice.
From the note, okay. All right.
Yep. After that, we're going to give you a list of preferred vendors. Just so happens the man doing this podcast is on that preferred lender list.
Okay.
So make sure you check out Ed. And we're going to give you a list of preferred vendors that you can use. You are not forced to use those vendors. If you want to use somebody on your own, that's perfectly fine. But we have these contracts. We've checked these people out. We know that they're good. We know that their rates are good, and that their turnaround's good. So we're going to give you a list of preferred vendors. You're going to contact these preferred vendors and start the suspension process. We are going to provide a reimbursement for partial of those expenses. So up to $500, we're going to give you to hire a suspension expert. Once you get that suspension expert on the phone, you start the process. Their deductible for this policy is 120 hours. Okay, so just like you have a $1,000 deductible on your car or a $5,000 deductible on your home, there's a deductible on this policy, and it's 120 hours. If your amazing suspension person gets you reinstated within the first 120 hours, then we pay your $500 and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
If your suspension person does not have you reinstated within the 120 hours, we pay your $500 fee towards your suspension expert, and we pay you your daily rate going back to day one. So you're not waiting that 120 hours to get paid. We pay you from day one, your day 2, your day 3, your day 4, your day 5, all the way up to 90 days or $1 million, whichever one comes first. So that's kind of the process. So we're hoping that your amazing suspension people can get you reinstated within the first 90 days, because that's your max payout is 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days. I mean, normally if you don't get in within 90 days, you're not getting back. So that makes no. It's a good number. So I agree with that number. And I also saw in the FAQs you're doing it for other marketplaces too.
Yeah, so this is a true e-commerce policy. So if you're selling on jet.com or walmart.com, eBay, Etsy, any of that stuff, it's a true e-commerce policy. The only thing with those is you're going to have to provide your account agreements to us. We couldn't get a lot of those back from a lot of the big retailers. So you'll have to provide us the account agreements that you have in place with them, so we can make sure that you're not violating any of their agreements too.
Right. Okay. I think I got two more questions.
Okay.
When do I know that the policy is approved? Like, can you tell me within 24 hours, 48 hours? Because there's going to have to be a vetting. You're going to have your analysts, adjusters, go through the account.
If the suspension is approved, or if your policy is approved to issue?
Policy is approved.
Okay. Once this is ready to go, you have the link if you want to send out the pre-application link. But once this is approved, you will have an application to sign, and we will send you a policy. So once you have policy in hand or a policy number in hand, you know your policy is ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you can start using it.
Right. It's a great idea, and I'm just very curious to see how this plays out. And one last question I have, and you've been great, and I really thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
And I appreciate. These I know these are the questions which are going to be asked, and you did a great job. Do you have any relationship with Amazon currently? Do you know how they feel about it?
We do not, and I really don't want to.
Right.
I just feel like they don't have your guys' best interest at heart, and they are really focused on growing Amazon and not growing you guys. That's why I'm in love with this product, because this really focuses on you and your business and how to grow your business and how to protect your business. And I don't care about Amazon. I'm sure once they find this out, they're not gonna like it, but I don't care. This is for you guys. This is what my customers asked for. This is what your community wanted, and I don't really care what Amazon says.
Right. I don't think they would probably be indifferent to it. I don't think they would. I think it's a great idea, and I think everybody wins here. And I thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you all the luck, and I truly hope this works out. I think there's going to have to be some fine tuning as we go along, because I know people are going to be willing to pay many times more if it can cover the entire business somehow, not just people like it's $3,000 is the max. I think what people are paying. And people will be willing to pay many, many times more than that if it would cover the whole business, not just. But I got a great understanding, and it cleared up a lot. And
any questions? You guys can reach out via email. My phone number's on there, but I'm sure I'll be bombarded with phone calls. So please email me is the best way to do it. The pre-application link Ed has. If you do the pre-application by Friday, quotes will be in hand by Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So get in there. We're going to use those first. Those will be the first ones to get quote and issued. So click on the link, get things done on the pre-application, and we'll have a quote in hand by Monday.
Okay, great job, and nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. Bye.